Hey folks, this is attorney Sharif Silmi, and I am here to chime in on the latest issues around the so-called EB1A revocation situation and how that might impact folks and how to think about this. The first, I think, and most important point that I want to make is clearly have seen this coming for a very long time. If anybody has been paying attention to the content that we've put out there, the videos that we've put out there over a long period of time. And if you've consulted with me or if you've worked with me on your EB1A case, you know that I repeat over and over and over again that we take a statutory approach to EB1A. And the reason we do this is because regardless of regulatory changes that might occur, when one pays attention to the statutory basis for classification of EB1A, then they are going to be in a safe territory. So I'm really actually, happy to see that while many people have been raising the alarm as it relates to their clients, we have not experienced any revocations and don't anticipate any because of our thorough internal RFE checks and emphasis on qualitative rather than quantitative evidence. So just to kind of bring people up to speed in case you're not aware of the controversy, there is a lot of postings. I just quickly grabbed a couple that talk about attorneys warn Indians as U.S. cracks down on fake EB1A green card cases. And then basically it goes on to cite certain, online videos where they talked about re-examining multiple approved EB1A petitions where applicants have relied on questionable tactics to boost their profiles. And this stems mainly from those who work with these agencies that talk about like building an EB1A case for somebody. A lot of them are overseas, some are in the US. They talk about, for example, pointing people in the direction or using things like Globee and Stevie Awards, as is mentioned here in the quote. I just want to point everybody back to 2013 November when I created this video. So let's just watch it real quick. Exactly. So my point 2013 and my point today is that if you are seeking an EB1A and you're doing so on the basis of Globee and Stevie Award judging or iJurt journal, publication, that is ridiculous. It is stupid and it is harmful. We have warned people against this. We've told them that this is not the way to go. Rather, what you need to do is base your case on a qualitative narrative, and you have a qualitative narrative. That's why, for example, one of the things we always emphasize is a project-based approach to EB1A. That is to emphasize the actual business-related contributions that one is responsible for, which transcend the organization which they are a part of. So it's really, really important to make sure that we are paying attention. Let's see if there's any other things we could learn from this video that I did a couple years back. I feel vindicated, guys. I really do. I think that what we had mentioned in 2013, and we've always practiced for more than a decade now as it relates to EB1A and focusing on a qualitative narrative. And those of you who are out there and you're questioning whether you truly qualify or not, I encourage you to set up a consultation with our firm, because we have a bulletproof approach to make sure that your case will be approved and will be upheld, even if it went to a higher authority. Even some cases we have to appeal and we get favorable decisions in court, because we know that our cases are based on qualitative evidence. Folks who are in the cybersecurity world, folks who are in even certain kinds of like automation, AI technologies, understand that the work projects that you are doing are such that they are making an impact that transcends your organization. That is an industry level impact. What we need to do is we need to base an EB1A on the actual work that you've spent your entire career doing, not on scrambling for 3-4 months and doing a bunch of nonsense and paid PR and paid media, getting iJert publications. It is totally, utterly ridiculous that anybody thinks that paid media or paid consultation with some idiotic organizations are going to result in one getting a green card based on extraordinary ability. In fact, I think you have to be extraordinarily stupid to follow such a methodology. So please make sure that when you are seeking an EB1A, you're doing so on the basis of actual qualitative evidence, not on the basis of seeking shortcuts. So I would say the number one complaint that people make regarding us, it's never that the quality of our work was not up to par or that we had any kind of shortcoming. We are essentially maybe taking a little bit more time to be very, very careful about the kind of evidence that we're submitting, that we're taking due regard, that we're understanding that this case is the case of your life, that this EB1A petition is going to do wonders, not only for you, for your children. If your kids are going to go to high school and then college, they're not going to be living on an F1 visa and having to go through the same struggle that you went through. That's what EB1A is to me. To get somebody off of an EB2 or EB3 backlog, it takes a lot of work. Maybe it takes a year. Maybe it takes 6 months. Maybe it takes more than a year. That is a lot better than a 40-year backlog on EB2. So if you have to build a case the hard way, that you have to dig deep into your past, that you have to brush off your past credential, that you have to polish your case in such a way that understands that a qualitative basis is what is needed in order to be approved, then so be it. That is what it takes. If we had a better option, we would certainly tell you about it. But it's very, very true. We have over 90% success rate without any revocation, and we never will. We'd fight it as hard as you could imagine if that ever came to be, because we understand and know that the cases which we are submitting are based on actual qualitative evidence. So I'm actually not surprised that there is a movement with respect to vetting a lot of these cases, because as many Indian nationals who were very desperate in the backlog did, was just following others like a sheep. And that's how you get yourself in trouble. I mean, if everybody's going to do the same thing, right? What do I always talk about? If anybody's paid attention, disrupting the pattern. You have to, if you want your case approved, disrupt the pattern. If the adjudicator looks at every case and they're all the same, they're all the same, they're all the same, then those of you whose cases disrupt the pattern are the ones who are going to get approved and are going to withstand any scrutiny. So I'm, again, very, very not surprised that any sort of potential revocation related things are happening. I saw this coming from miles away. I've been warning people, please check out these videos. I mean, it's not just the video that I talked about or that I showed you here, but you can also see many others that I talked about. For example, final merits determinations. If you search Silmy Law final merits determination, you'll find a lot more about this. And anybody who's really thinking about filing for EB1A, or if you're working with one of these so-called firms specializing in EB1A, you need to jump ship right now, honestly, and consult with us. We'll fix your narrative. We even have seen people who get RFEs based on these kinds of evidences, and in the RFE, it'll say things like, you've submitted what looks like PR related material, and this undermines the credibility of the rest of your evidence. And we have to sort of rebuild the credibility of such cases. So it's very, very important that we are using the qualitative approach to getting your case approved. So I wouldn't be overly excited by these rumors. I mean, I think that if, for example, a few cases are revoked here and there, it's not going to be the majority, but I think that they might search specifically for people who have used things like Globy, Stevie, Iger, and those might be of concern. So again, we are the firm that's always stood on the side of qualitative basis to EB1A. Dig deep, make sure that you're actually basing your case on reality, not on fads, not on jumping on the latest bandwagon or following what some forum is saying. I always tell my clients, ignore the forums, don't look at the forums, because a lot of misinformation is there. When we look at a case, what we look at is final merits determination. That is the name of the game. The last thing I was going to say is that those of you who are business or technology related contributors, or for example, an engineer, you have no business publishing scholarly articles. You're not an academic. You're an industry participant. So if your entire life you've never published a article, now you're decided to file EB1A, and 1 month before your EB1A submission, you decide to publish 7 articles that are co-authored by 10 other people. Do you really think that's a qualitative basis for EB1A? That's ridiculous. And you don't need to do it, because if you look at the actual statute, there is a rule within the regulatory framework that's called other comparable evidence. And what it says under other comparable evidence is for one who works in industry rather than academia, publication of scholarly articles does not apply to them. Therefore, they may submit other comparable evidence, such as participation in industry forums, such as participation in trade shows. So there is a entire basis for one who is a business-related contributor. You're not an academic. You're not a scholar. You're a business technology-related contributor. Talk to us. Let us guide you. We will make it happen. I guarantee it. We will make it happen. And we are also going to be introducing guaranteed approval for EB1A. And that is coming at a time where, during the Trump administration, people are thinking it's harder to get approved. Maybe so, maybe not. We don't really care who the administration is, because we're basing it on the statute. And the statute is determined by Congress. So unless and until the law changes, then we will worry about it then. As far as things stand right now, the law is the law. We are going to make sure that your case complies with the statutory makeup of what is determined, and we will get it approved. So it might not happen in 1 month or 2 months, because, I'm sorry, but there's no shortcuts. You're applying for the highest level of classification that exists under the law. So it does take a grind. It does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of detail and specification. and attention. So qualitative basis for EB1A is not something that is just going to happen in overnight. Now, there are some very special cases where people are at the very top of the business world, or maybe they've done a startup that has been acquired, or they have like over $1 million in salary or something, where of course we can get it done very fast, maybe 60 days or less. But the vast majority of cases, I would say, need a very, very detailed, thorough approach to develop into an approvable case. We can get you there. And not only that, but we'll know whether or not we can get there based on a consultation and a thorough analysis of your profile and your situation. Because at the end of the day, what we want is to put you in a position to be successful. So I, really appreciate everybody who's been reaching out with questions about the situation. I myself am absolutely not surprised. Again, I saw it coming a mile away. You can check out my videos. Don't take my word for it. Well, take my word for it, but take my past word for it, because I'm very consistent on this issue. Check out my final merits determination video. Check out my video about how stupid it is to use Globy and Stevie, how stupid it is to rely on publications that are done at the 11th hour, how ridiculous it is to use or trust these so-called profile building firms that are, I call it stupidgreencard.com. So don't use stupidgreencard.com. Rely on us. We're going to help you. We're going to find your pathway and do it in an authentic and trustworthy manner that you could fully depend on and sleep well at night, even after your approval is won. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you all and hope everybody's doing well and has a wonderful, wonderful weekend.